Welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Mr. Rincher, my husband.
I just woke up from a nap, so.
And I just look ill.
What?
You don't think?
You don't look ill. She's sick, though.
I feel ill because our sweet little 8-month-old got me a little sick with the sniffles. I don't feel awful, but just stuffy a little.
Yeah.
Just your common cold. But it's not a good time, and whenever you have to give a little baby all of your energy, it's tough when you don't feel well.
No, for sure.
But I wanted to film this video because I feel like both Darian and I get so many relationship questions, whether it's on TikTok or just our Instagram DMs. People are just always asking questions about relationships, and you know, we're no experts, but I feel like we went through a lot in college.
Yeah,
and
we're experts on us. We didn't figure a little bit out, you know? I feel like
we're still figuring out along the way, but I feel like we've come pretty far.
For sure.
And we've been through a lot together, and we made it out alive. So why not answer some questions? So I asked you guys on Instagram what you wanted to know, so let's get into it. In times when insecurities are strong, how do you keep that from affecting your partner? I love this question. I feel like a lot of these questions will have similar answers, so we're not gonna be repetitive. Insecurities with your partner. One, I think you should ask yourself, can I trust this person? And if you can, that is just something that you're gonna have to work on with you and God, if you believe in God. Whenever those would come up from me, I would just have to say like, okay, do I trust Darian as a partner? Yes, I do. And I would have to stop myself from trying to get him to affirm me in that, because I feel like that can cause more issues whenever you're looking for your partner to like affirm those insecurities. It can get to the point where it's like, okay, like eventually you have to like grow in that, and it's okay to deal with it. But if you're constantly, like, I hate to say nagging your partner, I just feel like that can cause a huge strain in your relationship, and it's also not his job to like constantly affirm you. That's my answer.
I read it differently. I thought it was some of my personal insecurities, not insecurities in your partner.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, it could be read either way, but either way I have the same answer, because if you are feeling like, oh, I'm ugly, and you're constantly like, am I ugly, am I ugly, am I ugly?
Oh, that's yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I read it as like personal insecurities, like stuff that I like will project that ultimately like I'm feeling. Like if I feel like I'm not enough, or I feel like I'm less than, like life's not going my way, or I'm just kind of like, what was me? Like I would project onto Mackenzie, like be mean or be passive or not like be like disinterested or unengaged, because ultimately like I am like trying to mask something that's going on to me instead of addressing a real problem. So I think just in order to like show your light in a relationship or as a person, you gotta face your darknesses or darkness. You gotta embrace and face like the parts of you that aren't good, because if not, you're just gonna project on people you love. And honestly, it's kind of sad, like the people you love the most sometimes get the worst end of the stick.
For sure.
That's my answer.
Well, either way that you're asking that, you got both sides of the answer.
You did.
What is y'all's advice for wedding day? Something you wish you did differently? Well,
We had a great wedding.
we had a great wedding. My like really only regret is I wish I would have had more bridesmaids. I like got to the point where I had so many bridesmaids that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like cut it off and I'll just do like who I knew the longest. But then it turned out like one of my friends ended up not being in our wedding party, and I like have so much regret to this day about that. Like every time I think about our wedding, I'm like, I just wish I would have added another person. And I think looking back, there's always like, okay, I would have worn different shoes, or like I would have like done something different
hindsight's
style-wise.
definitely 2020. You kind of look back and you have all these thoughts.
I loved our wedding.
Yeah, I loved our wedding too. I probably would have added like similar. I think you have like a standard. You can only have this amount of groomsmen or whatever. I thought I would have added a couple people.
Because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's definitely what you make it. I mean, I think it could be a little out of control depending on how many people you add, but I think we would add a couple people that would have been cool. Now I think for the wedding would be, what advice? I guess just try to enjoy everything. Like my favorite
day of, just be in the moment.
Even the build up, one of my favorite days, I swear. If you are a couple out there, make sure you enjoy your taste testing. That was literally one of my favorite days of my life. I remember getting out of practice. We went and ate all the good food and tried everything. That was amazing.
We were like sick by how much we ate, but it was so good. So definitely enjoy that.
I think we tried to do everything that we wanted to be unique with at our wedding. Like we had our own like party.
Mm-hmm.
We had
our reception was like a nightclub sort of
vibe. The dinner was its own little moment. Like, the biggest thing, we want to have each thing to have their own moment. Like we wanted to all kind of flow into like this whole experience. We had a great wedding. I really wouldn't change anything. So if anybody's out there, I would just say, like, if you have the means, it's your day. Make it your dream day. Make it everything you want it to be. All right, this question is certain conversations you should have with your significant other before getting engaged or married. I think there's certain things you should talk about before you get engaged, because I feel like that's a milestone in and of itself. And there's certain things you should definitely walk through that I feel like aren't appropriate until you're engaged and about to get married.
Like marriage counseling. There,
Like
another
marriage
question
counseling.
was, did you guys do marriage counseling? And yes, we did. And I would recommend that so much, because having another older and wiser married couple walk you through some of the things that you may go through in marriage. Obviously, you're not going to do that before you get engaged, but like during that engagement season, having someone walk you through those things is so important. But I guess specifically, I would make sure you're aligned morally. Like, if, for example, you love Jesus and the person that you are dating does not love Jesus, you need to think about, like, that could be something that you deal with for the next 35, 40 years, 50 years, whatever, 70, I mean, however long.
Lord willing.
And that is something that you need to think about, because that's going to affect you for the rest of your life. And just things like, how many kids do you guys want? If someone doesn't want kids at all and
just
you
overall
want 3,
lifestyle and beliefs, I think. Because if you're not aligned, even on just what type of life you want to live, where you want to live, or just baseline foundational things, like, you definitely should have those conversations.
And ask the other person if they're willing to sacrifice some of their wants. Like, for example, if you want to move to Miami and your significant other does not, are they going to be able to budge a little bit, and vice versa? Like, if he wants to do something, like, are you going to be able to budge? Like, that's a huge thing in marriage, is like meeting halfway.
And it's definitely tiers. It's like, you're not willing to die on every hill. There's some things you're like, this is who I am, this is what I'm set in stone. You didn't have this conversation. So I think leading up to engagement, you should talk about getting married. It should not be a surprise.
For me, that's like obvious, but I feel like some people
need a little reminder.
My girlfriend and I are in a long distance relationship and teenagers now. Any advice? Long distance, man.
Well, this is tough.
If you don't know our story, we did long distance for 4 years. 3 years, and it's hard, honestly, especially because he was playing a sport and that took up so much of his time, and I was mostly the one that had to travel to him, and we didn't get to see each other in person a ton. But I would just say communication. If the other person is not willing to like travel and communicate, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you gotta definitely sacrifice. In context, there's definitely levels to long distance. Like, we weren't across the country,
right? It was drivable,
but I think long distance is any distance where you just can't drive
for dinner.
Yeah, for dinner, like, you just can't pick up and just drive 30 minutes. Like, we were 2.5 hours away, 2 hours away.
Yeah, 2.5.
And so it's just like, when I got practice in school, I can't just pick up and just leave and go to a dinner and come back that night. That's long distance. The biggest thing is, when you do have moments in person, make them as special as you can. Because that's like, you should cherish those things.
Yeah, whenever I knew that I was going to be seeing Darian, or like he knew he was going to be seeing me, he would always try to make it as special as possible, like planning a dinner and like just making sure that the time we spent was intentional, which I love.
And then when you're not together, I think you just got to make sure you put forth effort. Because if you don't, it's just going to fizzle out.
Communication is key. I've been hurt in the past, and marriage kind of scares me. I'm scared of getting hurt. Any advice? Retweet. I had such a hard time. Whenever I knew we were about to get engaged, I actually started having a lot of fear come up about getting married, and just the thought of like, you are giving this person such a huge opportunity to hurt you, and I am a child of divorce, and so I watched my parents go through that, and that was really hurtful for me. And just the thought of like, Darian could just randomly one day be like, oh, guess I want to cheat on you, or oh, I like don't love you anymore, or whatever it is. Like, those fears are real, but I just had to work through like, who has Darian shown himself to be in the 5 years that we've been dating, and what is his character? And his character was not like showing any signs that he was going to just wake up one day and do that to me, but also he could, and that's just like one of the things you have to work through. Like, I wasn't going to Darian constantly like, are you gonna cheat, are you gonna cheat, are you gonna cheat? I would sometimes, and he was just like, Mackenzie, no, like, I've never shown to be that person, like, I'm not going to hurt you. And that's just something where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna trust. And I also just knew that the Lord like put you in my life, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna trust God, I'm gonna trust Darian, and it's the best thing ever.
No, it's worked. Definitely worked out. It's not really true love if you don't risk something. Like, you got to be able to, like, to say you love somebody, or say you're going for something, or let somebody in. Like, you have to be open to being hurt, because then there's nothing at stake. Like, to love somebody is to put yourself out there. And then I think fear for me in marriage was like, I had great parents, but my parents are divorced, and just thinking that I'm gonna somehow like self-sabotage my way into having a bad marriage. So I think I just had to remind myself and like affirm myself that's not who I am, that's not who I want to be. Because I think we all, I mean, some people do come from good homes. I think sometimes you come from a broken home, even though you like try so hard to like not make that your future. Subconsciously, I feel like you get all these negative thoughts and doubts. So that's gonna be like, you're gonna be just like your parents. And so I had to remind myself, like, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be. So
Yeah. Next question is tips during season of singleness.
it was a while ago.
Yeah, so I've been single 6 years, but I wish that I would have like realized what a gift it was in the moment, honestly, because I was always like thinking, who am I gonna marry and who am I gonna end up with? And I feel like I didn't realize what a gift it actually was. That it's like the only time in your life that you don't have like someone else to think about. And I remember people telling us that, but I was just like so pressed about getting a husband, so I was like, don't care. Yeah, it's a gift, and it's also like whenever I stopped obsessing over getting a husband, I stopped worrying about if God was gonna take care of me. That's when like Darian came in my life and it was like so perfect. So yeah, just stop obsessing over your future, like you're gonna be taken care of, and yeah, it's a gift.
Yeah, I think every season of life has beautiful moments that you should like cherish, like singleness, dating, engagement, marriage, having kids. Like every season of life has something you should like really you should lean into and appreciate, because it's a gift. So I'll say during singleness, there's certain things you can only do when you're single that you can't do any other time in your life. I would just say lean into it, like friendships, and really work on yourself, because a lot of who you'll be in dating and your marriage, to me, the roots of that come from the times most people are single. Like that's how you develop your character.
How did you start dating again after taking a break? I'm gonna like categorize all of the break questions in one question.
Yeah, we did talk about that a lot, like taking breaks.
We do, because we get so many questions about it. I feel like that's like the number one thing. I did a video about it once, and I feel like ever since people have been like, help, me and my boyfriend are going through a break, blah blah blah. A little backstory. So Darren and I took probably 3 breaks in our relationship.
Maybe 4. I can't remember.
Maybe
3
4.
or 4 for sure.
And for some people that would be like, oh my gosh, that's so much, y'all should just learn how to work through it. And for us it was like, well, if we really are endgame, then we need to figure out ourselves separately and be content separately before we are with each other for the rest of our lives. And it was the most helpful thing that we could have done, because every time we were reassured, like, okay, this is the person that I want to be with. And each time I feel like it was about different things. Most of the time I feel like it was about communication,
right, yeah.
and sometimes it just takes time apart to be able to really be like, okay, I can think clearly.
Yeah.
There's
no pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure. And it's kind of hard whenever you like are talking about something over and over and over again. Like sometimes you just be like, I just need a break from talking about it. I need to like take time away, figure out if this is what I really want, figure out myself. Am I like putting too much of myself in you? Because that's not healthy. So to answer this specific question, I always struggled. Darry never struggled with jumping right back into it after a break. I did, because I was like, I don't know you.
Yeah, she's like, who are you? I'm like, dude, I've literally been dating for a year and a half. Like,
I know.
A couple weeks ain't changed everything. Yeah, I think that, like, I think context is always big. Because I think some people, like you said, will say, y'all shouldn't run away from your problems. Y'all should learn how to figure things out. You can't do that in marriage. Well, one, it's not marriage. And that's the biggest thing we would always kind of settle in. It's like, we do want to get married. I do want to keep dating you. But at the same time, we don't really owe each other anything in particular until, like, that day. So, like, you should have some freedom and some maturity to be like, hey, we're like butting heads right now to like an unhealthy point, and it may be good to let this breathe for a second. It never was a break from each other. It was like a break for each other. You know, it was like we weren't breaking up to just go do whatever you want. It was more so a break up, clear your head, go spend some time with your friends, go get away with God.
Also, I think our longest one was like 2 weeks, right?
I think it was a lot longer than that.
A month?
They were like, it was supposed to be a month. We went like 3 weeks though.
Never spent too much time.
But it was supposed to be a month. But I think they were all good and beneficial.
And I also saw a comment once where she was like, so what are you going to do in marriage whenever you can't take a break? I'm like, that's why we're taking a break, so that
we can make it.
We can make it. And we don't get to the altar and we're like, wait, I've never had any time apart. I've never had like reassurance or whatever. Like I was like, no, I'm sure. Anytime I've been without him, I'm like,
yeah, I like life better with together.
Yeah. What did y'all do during arguments?
Or do currently.
Still argue.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just getting over pride.
Right.
And knowing when you're in the wrong. I feel like I'm worse about apologizing, honestly. You're pretty quick to apologize, whereas like sometimes I have to take time and be like, okay, I shouldn't have talked to you like that, and I'm sorry. But yeah, being willing to apologize, and also like in the moment being willing to like lose an argument. Like you don't always have to win an argument. Sometimes it's okay to be like, okay, yeah, you're right, which I feel like you're good at.
Yeah, I think there's also, this is gonna sound crazy, I think the health, like you being healthy as a person is big, because a lot of times in arguments, what you choose to do in that really comes from how you've chosen to spend like your time alone. Because sometimes, like if I'm in a good spot and we argue, I feel like I'm quicker to apologize, and like, all right, my heart's softer to where I feel like I'm making a more mature decision if I'm in the wrong, or if I'm right. Like I'll be like, you were wrong, and we talk about that, or like, you know what, I'm tripping, I shouldn't have said that, like quickly. But if I'm not in a good place, I think it's easy for me to maybe even push a button or go too far in an argument or say something that I really know I shouldn't say, but I know it's gonna make her mad or tick her off because I was not in a good mood. And so, yeah, then I think after the fact, we hurt each other's feelings, I think apologizing and trying to be sweet, trying to make up for it. When did you know that you were each other's person?
For me, it was that I could trust Darian, that he was a good friend, and he was ever growing. I feel like you were always evolving, and I feel like that's a really good trait to look in for somebody because you're going to evolve in marriage. And if you can evolve together, that's the key to success.
Yeah, I would say I just enjoy the time I spent with Mackenzie. I still do. I think that's what we always have so much fun together. Even now, like I feel like life is just full and fun, and I think she makes life better. And I think she made me laugh. I enjoyed that. As far as like pinpoint time, it's probably like 6 months before we got engaged. We got in a big fight, and then I think it reminded me that I was like, you know what, you're actually a person I want to work through life with. I can't imagine life without you. So that's when I knew. But I guess traits would be fun, funny, and I appreciate her sweetness. I think Mackenzie, there's some things that I feel like I've helped her with. There's some things she's definitely helped me with being more compassionate and being sweet and being thoughtful and caring. Because I can become very like just one-track minded about things and not think about how people are feeling about it, was trying to accomplish whatever the task is at hand. But she's helped me just think about other people. And so she's made me better. I think that's a big thing, like for anybody, like girl or guy. Like, if somebody's making you better, that's a great trait to look after because you want that to be a theme in your life.
Newborn stage and baby number 2.
Yeah, newborn stage, I feel like we bodied it and it kind of bodied us at the same time. There were moments, I think
kind of did, honestly.
I think overall, one, we had a really good village. Our 2 moms have been angels. Shout out to them.
Support, so much support.
Yeah, I know that y'all, look, if you can put aside the family drama when you have a kid, try your hardest. And I know sometimes it seems unrepairable, but you really do need a village because it just helps you have some balance in your life. And whenever we want to go do stuff with our friends, we take her most places, honestly. Whenever we have opportunities to go travel, do something, like we have people that watch her, we're gonna go on a date night. All those things are big to kind of just maintain some type of balance.
For sure. I would say we did a pretty good job, mostly because of our village, and then also, like, I think we just had a good system going. He would wake up with her in the morning, and we still have a good system going where it's not all on one person.
It's real teamwork. That's the biggest thing I feel like we really have. Like, all right, Darren, you got this, Mackenzie, you got this, and then we do our best. Some days it don't always go as planned.
Yeah. It's not always 50-50 because at the beginning I was breastfeeding, and so a lot of it was on me. So like anytime like he saw like I'm about to lose it, he would help me and like give me 4 hours of sleep or whatever in the middle of the day because I was not sleeping at all at night because I was the one feeding her. And so yeah, just being supportive partners to each other, I feel like. And then maybe number 2, we'll see. Because
you gotta start planning them now. Like obviously Beckham was our little beautiful surprise, but now, all right, I don't want them to be too far apart. So we're definitely thinking about when we want to start trying.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like I want to do more sit down videos, especially because I am posting every Thursday now. If you are not subscribed, go do it right now. You really don't lose anything. It really just helps me out. You know what I mean?
Right. It's not like you get...
Like, you might as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know if you liked this video. You can ask us other questions. Our DMs are always open. We love you guys, and I'll see you next week with another video.